the first day of elimination method, it's a method in which we add or combine equations in order to find a variable in a system, and then we're actually going to be substituting it back into the other equation. So what this looks like. In step 1, for letter A, we see, does the x or the y, does either of these have opposites? 2x and 6x are not opposites. 5y and negative 5y are opposites because if I combine them, I get a 0. And so we're going to set this up like an addition problem. So I eliminate these because they're opposites. They make 0. I combine. 6 plus 2 is 8x. And 17 minus 9 is 8. So how do I get x by itself? Well, I divide by 8 and get x equals 1. So now I know this much of my answer. Okay? So the second step is I look at my two equations that I was given. And I decide which one is maybe a little bit easier to work with. So I'm looking for more positive numbers. I'm looking for smaller numbers if possible. And the first equation fits my criteria of more positives, no negatives. So I'm going to take that first equation, rewrite it, and I am going to plug that x equals 1 into x. So 2 times 1 plus 5y equals 17. So this becomes 2 if I multiply. Then I want to subtract the 2, and 5y equals 15. If I divide by 5, y is 3. So that's my solution, 1, 3. All right, part B. I look to see, do I have opposites? And I do. A negative 1 and a positive 1 cancel each other out, make 0. Negative 1 and negative 1 combine to be negative 2y. And negative 7 plus 3 is negative 5. Nope, sorry, negative 4. Then, to get y by itself, I divide by negative 2. So y is 2. Now, second step. I look at the two equations I was given, and I'm looking for smaller numbers and or more or less numbers, like smaller numbers. So the second equation I think is probably my best bet. X minus y equals 3. And I'm going to plug this 2 in for y. So I have x minus 2 equals 3. To get x by itself, I simply add 2. So x is 5. And now I have my ordered pair, 5, 2. For letter C, I'm looking to see, do I have opposites? So 1x and 2x. No, that makes 3x. Negative 3 and negative 2. No, that makes negative 5. So since I don't have opposites, I have to figure out something called a multiplier. So what number would I use to multiply one of these equations by so that I could have opposites? So let's see. I think it would be wise to say it would be easy to get a negative 2 right here. Okay? And so I'm going to multiply the top equation by negative 2 to make it the opposite of 2. And so to multiply, I multiply 3 times. So I would have a negative 2x, positive 6y, and a negative 54. Now the second equation, it stays the same. And do I have opposites? Yes. This makes 0 now. So one more time, this number right here is called your multiplier. You multiply it to the entire equation, and the reason we do that is because we need to have an opposite of another term, and so I picked negative 2 because it was opposite of 2. And negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. This number will change depending on your problem. So let's solve. I eliminate. I combine. 6 minus 2 is 4y. Negative 54 plus 26 is negative 28. Divide by 4, and y is negative 7. So here is what we know. Step 2. We need to use one of the original equations. So one of these that are typed out on the paper. And if I look, the first equation, it just has less numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go with that second equation. I'm going to plug this negative 7 into y. So x minus 3 times negative 7 equals 27. If I multiply, we get 21. And then I just subtract 21 to both sides, and x equals 6. For letter D, again, I need to find opposites. So if I check these two, those are not opposites. Negative 3 and 2 do not make 0. That makes negative 1. 6y and 1y makes 7y, so they're not opposites. So I have to decide, do I want to eliminate x's or y's? And I'm going to pick y's because there's a 1 right here. And I know that if I multiply 1 times negative 6, that would be the opposite of 6y. So the top equation I write down first. The second equation, we distribute the negative 6, and we have negative 12x, sorry about that, negative 6y, and negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. So again, that's a negative 12x. And then I want to combine. So this eliminates. Negative 3 minus 12 is negative 15x. If I add 24 and 6, that gives me a positive 30. And to get x by itself, I need to divide by negative 15, and that gives me negative 2. I plug that back into one of the original equations. I'm going to pick the second one because it looks like there's just easier numbers to work with there. So 2x plus y equals negative 1. Plug that into x. I can multiply this first, get negative 4. And lastly, add 4 to the other side to get the y by itself. And we get 3. So y is 3.